My name is Jim Adams. I was a lieutenant, full lieutenant in the United States Navy Reserves in Vietnam, and I retired from the Navy Reserves as lieutenant commander. I got down to the base camp, relieved the guy I was taking relief, and spent some time just getting acclimated and everything. And as it turned out, I was very lucky and had a great cadre. My counterpart, I found out, was a Vietnamese Navy lieutenant junior grade officer, and he was from the north. He was a North Vietnamese Catholic, and husband, 3 children, and he was a math teacher. So being a math teacher and being a Catholic, he certainly wasn't wanted in the north because the communists were not too happy with Catholics and certainly didn't like intelligentsia, the intellectuals. So he was able to get his family and come south. He'd been there quite some time before I got there, probably 10 years or something like that, I would guess. He came down in the early 60s, so it's 8 years. And so I met him and met his people and everything, and so we started to develop a relationship. He spoke English very well. I spoke phrases, and so we got along well. The one story that I tell about him is he was a loving father, a loving husband. He introduced me to his family. I ate with them. It was just, and I learned through that it was kind of my outing of being everybody is the same no matter where you are. They love their wife, they love their children, they just want peace. So I learned a lot, and he was a very gracious person, as they basically are. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. And he was a good person to work with, and we had no problems, 0 problems, except for the one story I will tell is I was very aggressive from the standpoint that, hey, if I'm here, I'm going to do the best job I can. To do the best job I can means I had to be in motion. I had to be doing stuff, following the orders that would come down from Saigon, and making sure we were out doing these operations, if you will. And we were always getting on junks and always going someplace. And we always had little ambush teams with us in case we got shot at and stuff like that. And we'd have little operations where we'd come under fire. And so this was going on, and finally one day my counterpart comes up and says, Dai Huy, which is Vietnamese for lieutenant, he says, you have to understand something. He says, you're going home in June. You're going home. You're 12 months here. I'm not going anywhere. The bad guys, and he didn't say bad guys, he said the communists are going to stay. They will be here when you're gone. We don't have to do this every day, all the time, though. Let's just settle down. Words to that effect. It wasn't quite like that. So he made me understand that we weren't going to change the war in the 4th Coastal Zone, doing our job all the time, getting everybody always in the line of fire all the time and stuff like that. So he settled me down a little bit, so then we started having, and I have to say, probably more quality operations. So that was one thing about the Vietnamese and my job as an advisor, is that we did a lot of help, and we helped a lot of people, and a lot of it was under shall I say, duress, and always was a little bit of fear in the background, but after a while you just said this was a good thing, so we went on. So it was more getting to know the people. In my case, being an advisor, I would be then going over working with the South Vietnamese Navy in the 4th Coastal Zone, and just letting them know that if they needed support from us on psychological operations, I would be able to provide it. What it ended up being is we would go to the villages with medical civic action programs, bringing doctors and dentists and corpsmen to the villages to help their children, their wives, families, and helping them live a better life. And of course, the villages, and I was in the 4th Coastal Zone, 4 Corps, which was the Delta. So our job was, just to let them know that we weren't the bad guys. And through this, we did have the opportunity to gain intelligence. And although it wasn't our primary role in any way, shape, or form, however, it was very important because what we learned through the villages, through the village chief, the village elders, even the young boys, young girls, young mothers, old women, they would tell us, you don't want to go there, you don't want to go there, you might not want to come back tomorrow. So it was, we learned a lot, but we also helped a lot. And at the same time, we would use psychological warfare during combat operations. We would be involved in land combat. For being a Navy guy, that was kind of new, but we would go in with the regional forces, popular forces, and while getting ready to combat, we'd going to it or coming from it, we would leave messages and have taped messages and telling them that we were the good guys, and if they came over, we had a Chew Hoy program, we would give them incentives to come to our side. And then we would do that with regional forces and popular forces, rough puffs we call them, and then we'd go up the river with the jump force, which were on the mouth of the rivers with the coastal group advisors, which were the Americans that were with the jump force at that time. So we were doing a lot of good, and I was very happy with that. The other thing I did was fly once every couple of weeks. I would go to Rockjaw, was the name of the town, and get in a little airplane, and I would drop leaflets over the suspected VC area. And I would also have a loudspeaker with tapes. And we would just fly around in slow circles, dropping leaflets and stuff like that. I never was a very good big proponent of things like that, but you kind of had to follow orders, and that was okay. I was good with that. But I'm not so sure how successful that was, other than to let them know that we knew where they were in essence, and hey, we're here to help, that type of thing. The Chew Hoy program, which was to bring VC over to the government side, South Vietnam government side, we had a few. Personally, I don't know to be honest with you, how successful it was on a countrywide basis. It wasn't the biggest success we ever had, but we had a few guys that came over, and so we kept at it. But bottom line is the noise that we made with the tapes and stuff like that. Probably when I got to the swift boats, it was not a good thing because they could hear us coming, and there wasn't a whole lot. They're not going to be thinking about changing sides when you're shooting at them.